Hey everybody, welcome to another behind the scene fireside chat. Today we're going to be talking with Kayla Walters, and I am so freaking excited for us to get into this conversation. This conversation came about because Kayla and I were kind of having a rant together just about I'm going to say it, sort of the predatory nature of some marketing agencies, some web designers and web developers. And I feel like you wouldn't be an entrepreneur if you didn't get scammed by a web designer at least once. So we were kind of talking about this frustration and kind of having a rant. And I was like, you know what? We need to get on a live. We need to turn this into a podcast. It needs to happen. So we're going to be talking about that today. Super psyched for everyone that's here. Welcome. Super psyched for everyone that's watching the replay or listening to the podcast. For those who haven't met me, hello. My name is Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector. I am what you would call a business development strategist, which is a fancy way of saying I show you how to monetize your brilliance and make money. Everything from marketing, visibility, behind the scenes setup of your business to the actual what am I doing to put myself out there and make money. And no, it's not focused on social media. So if you hate social media as much as I do, you're going to love what I have to teach you. All right, friends, let me introduce you really quickly to the person we're going to be chatting with today. It is Kayla Walters. Kayla Walters is a web designer, a tech geek, and the go-to expert for building fun, beautiful websites that actually work. She helps women entrepreneurs transform their websites into client-attracting machines, all while making the tech side stress-free. With over 17 years of experience, Kayla has seen it all and knows how to make a website shine. Kayla, welcome to the podcast / YouTube Live. How are you doing?
Great. How are you, Lindsay?
Well, I mean, I'm fired up, but what else is new?
And I got the fire going. It's cozy. Yeah.
I'm having like jealous vibes. I wanna think about, like, can I do like a TV behind me with a fireplace? I feel like I can do that. I have a spare TV. I
have an actual fireplace, but I couldn't, actually get the fire going for this. I'll leave that.
The TV works. So what's up? How are you doing? We are heading to the end of 2024. How are you?
Oh my God, I can't believe that the year's gone by so quickly, but I'm really looking forward to 2025. Hopefully it'll be a really cool year. So
we were having a conversation yesterday in my mastermind, and we were talking as a group about, for the rest of this year, do I want to go status quo and start to close my calendar down? Do I want to do any pushes for maybe some revenue generation pushes or promotional pushes? We have Black Friday coming up. We have the holidays and Boxing Day. We have all these sort of peak sale opportunities.
Yeah.
What has been your mindset for your business as we wrap up the year?
I am going all out. I am I was saying, fire sale. Let's everything not must go, but that's the way I'm working. I'm giving it for the last month and a half, and we'll see how that kind of sets the tone for 2025. Hopefully it's amazing.
Nice. I love it. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about your philosophy. We talked about the BS, marketing agencies and anybody in the world of marketing that has a tendency to oversell, overpromise, and maybe underdeliver. What are your thoughts? Give us your thoughts on this. Feel free to get ranty.
Oh, it's going to happen. So I've just spent so many years listening to the horror stories that come from clients of mine, from the experiences that they had with their first kind of point of contact in the marketing world. A lot of people don't know where to start. So they know big name marketing agencies, they'll go to them, but like you said, they get oversold. And really, it depends on the level of business that you're in, or the stage of growth that you're in. But for the most part, you don't need all the bells and whistles when you're, first starting out your business. And my heart breaks sometimes for the clients that I've had come to me, just like, I spent 20 grand on my website and I don't even have a login for it. That kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of amazing marketing agencies out there who are ethical, but then there's some out there that are just taking the money and producing very subpar results. Like this 20 grand client of mine who had government funding, which is probably a key word when, they're like, okay, let's have a meeting with this person who, has been in business for 2 months, and let's charge them 20 grand for a website. I logged in. Luckily, she did get her login information. They didn't even have the WordPress date and time set up. Like,
okay, so I want to jump in on a couple of things, and I can so relate. Like, okay, friends, listen. Kayla's being so nice. I'm going to rant. Okay. The amount of times I see a brand new entrepreneur who has no business spending that kind of money at all, period, on a brand, on a website, on a marketing strategy. And oh gosh, I'm trying to be diplomatic, but let's be honest, I'm not going to be. You mentioned it yourself. There's a lot of unethical people, and sometimes they are unethical and they literally see you as a dollar sign and try to grab every penny that you have to be able to spend on them. And here's what's wrong with that. Number one, you have more than one business expense, right? It shouldn't all be going to one person. And then the other thing, number two, is keep it real. And in the audience, if you're watching live, watching the replay, raise your hand if your business and brand changed significantly in the first few years. Right? And so you're spending all this money on things that is temporary. So to this idea, Kayla, of like why we shouldn't be spending all of our money, why we shouldn't be even talking to that level of marketing agency or customization in a website as a newbie, like, what do you think people should be prioritizing?
Yeah, like you hit the nail on the head there. It's, when you're first starting out, your business will change 2, 3, 4 times before you're comfortable, you're clear on your messaging, clear on your offers, and, you're in that growth stage.
Yeah.
So why would you invest, 10, 20, 30 grand in a website if you don't know what your future is as an entrepreneur? You're testing the waters. And I think it just needs to be something that can grow with you. You need a starting point, you need a homepage, you need service pages and a contact page, but it doesn't have to, solve every single problem from day one, and then you end up having to fit yourself in that hole, or that like peg in the hole kind of thing.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, because your comment right there, something that grows with you. Okay, counterpoint, something that works for now. Can I tell you why? Because this idea of something that grows with me freezes me, because I'm like, well, how do I know? I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to need in the future. How can I choose something that grows with me when I've never grown this before?
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
so even just saying it works for right now, it will evolve with me. It'll change with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because you start out and it's so overwhelming to start a business in the first place. And you're thinking about all these things that you have to get put together. And unless you're in the tech industry and you've been, exposed to all these tools out there, like, you're probably up at night thinking, what the hell am I going to do? Like, how do I even start? And, coming up with even the content for a 10, 15 page website, like, you don't need that, you don't. Need even just a 1-page website, to start out with. And then as you're talking to customers, as you're talking to clients, you're like, oh, I need a page that I can send to them, a link. Give me a minute, give me a day or two. I'm going to get that link to you, and build it
Build
as
as you go. Yeah.
you know.
This is what I tell, again, I do the same thing, right? Oh, you need a speaker page? Great. Let me quickly go make a speaker page. And
Yeah.
this is, again, it's that guessing, right? We're like, folks, it's like, I get it. When we're all new, right? And tell me in the comments if you relate to this. We're new and we want to be perceived as professional. We want to be perceived as having it all together, of knowing what we're doing, of having the answers. And so we won't let ourselves get started or put ourselves out there until we have every page just right, our socials just right. Oh, I can't invite people to follow me on social if I don't have a complete grid perfectly curated and done, right? So there's all these things that we do that stop us. So Kayla, I would love for you to share a time, if you think way back to when you started your business, right? When is a time that you felt yourself not moving forward because you had to get it right and had to get it perfect?
Right now,
Okay.
I'm still in that position, and I think I tell people that all the time. I've been doing this for a very long time, and every day is a new challenge, a new moment that I need to have something ready. And, it's just, you're constantly evolving. And I'm in that position now. It's just like, okay, well,
Can
what
you
do I
think of a
focus on
specific
next?
example? Like share a specific example for me so they can really, really relate.
Yeah. So, a year ago, I'd even decided to kind of rebrand my company. So I started Good Cheer Tech Studio as Good Cheer Web Design, but I found that all my clients were really looking for a bit more. They would come in, work with me on a website design, and then really want to continue to work with me. And they were like, I became their tech like go-to gal.
Yeah.
So I realized that, you know what? The first business that I opened, or like the brand that I had, wasn't perfect. So, I was just trying to kind of piecemeal a new brand together. I had to change my domain. And, those situations are always going to come up, and they come up with my clients all the time. I give it 2 years before my newbie clients, like new business owner clients, come to me saying, we want to redo the website
Yeah.
because we've completely changed. Like, we're refocusing.
Yeah. Every time, friends, like within the first year to 2 years,
Yeah.
you're going to change. I promise you're going to change. We have a comment from Marie saying, I asked you all to comment on this not being able to move forward till it's perfect. And Marie talked about, yes, and with this perfectionist attitude. And y'all know I come down on you, all the perfectionists and people pleasers. I like to remind you that is not a character, characterization, I guess, of yourself. That is a plus. That's not brag. It's something to brag about. Being a people pleaser, being a perfectionist is going to keep you stuck and going to keep you disconnected from relationships. The budget doctor Karina says, LOL, right now, in quotes, we are only human.
Absolutely.
Right? Of course, we have from Slavara, done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Marie just Slavara, I meditate on that a lot. Done is better than perfect. When I think about when I did a rebrand, because like I rebranded at about 3 years into my business, because my original brand was the Networking Boutique. It was an adorable little brand. I was focused on teaching entrepreneurs how to build faster through networking. And I had a friend recommend someone to do my website for me, and he did a fantastic job. I think he charged me like $800, which at the time was a lot, but now I look back, I'm like, you had a custom, I know, like, wow, this guy. And here's the thing, right? He gave me everything I wanted, but that doesn't mean that I knew what I needed. But here's the thing, it was an adorable website, adorable brand, and guess what? I rebranded because I realized that the direction I was going wasn't attracting the right people, and I wasn't doing the kind of work I wanted to do. So I rebranded. And friends, even in the rebrand, I really rushed to do a relaunch and a launch party with websites. And I spent all this money on banners and little postcards and flyers and like doing the website. So much time, so much money. And guess what? Even that shifted considerably in the coming 2 years. So I think that the moral of the story here, friends, is that like, stop spending all this time and money and buying things and creating things when your brand and your business is still in that amoebic taking shape, form, because it's going to go through many forms in your first few years.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to like keep in mind what your audience or like who your audience is. If you're building a brand from like a startup company that you want to go and take global, and you want to like maybe you want to go on Dragon's Den or something like that. Yeah, you're going to need a little bit more solidified branding. You're going to make that investment. But if you're just starting out as like a life coach or, a social media manager or something like that, you don't need, the same budget.
Yeah.
And yeah, just, starting and getting it done. Like, done is better than perfect. Like, you got to keep coming back to that. I actually have it on a sticky note on my wall because I am the worst when it comes to that. As a designer, everything has to be like pixel perfect. But yeah, I'm trying to live in that life more and more every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
So if we think about, again, sort of, I guess my question would be, from a marketing, when you're thinking about when is the right time to invest in marketing, and I have my own horror story around this that I'm going to share.
Yeah.
But if you think, when is the time to invest in marketing, whether you're hiring an agency, whether you're hiring a subcontractor or someone, freelancer,
Yeah.
Website or social media manager or SEO specialist, whatever. Because again, in the world of marketing, that's a very general term, and there's lots of things underneath that, do running ads, things like that. I guess my question is going to be a two-parter here. And that is, number one, what are the signs that an entrepreneur is ready to start spending a bit of money on marketing? And number two, what do you think is the best thing to spend on first?
Yeah. So I guess a sign that you're ready to invest or at least invest more than you did when you like first started is, when you're comfortable with your offers, you're comfortable with your like product line or whatever type of business you're in, and you realize that you need like your website to do more for you, that you've kind of outgrown what you have, that you're ready to have like automations. You need funnels, you need, emails being sent off immediately for you, that you're comfortable with how things are running, and how you can have your website kind of step in and become an employee in your business more so than just simply like a brochure or a resource. It's I think that's probably like where I find most of my clients in that kind of growth stage. Either their website is an embarrassment for them. That's what I hear all the time, is just like, I am constantly just too afraid to share my website with my audience because I'm not proud with how it looks, and it's not doing what it needs to do for me. And, that's when it's just like, okay, you have to fix that, as quickly as possible, because it's going to you're losing business essentially if you're not sharing your resource, and your most important resource is your website. And to your second point, like, what would...
Actually, wait, before we get to the second point, you said a few things I want to touch on.
Sure.
Okay, so first of all, tell me in the comments, friends, if you can relate to being embarrassed by your website. And can I tell you, oh gosh, it's so funny because every time I hop on a call or a meeting with someone and I say, let me have a look at your website, it doesn't matter who it is, immediately they start apologizing. Immediately.
All the apologies.
Like, literally, you're right. And I have to bite my own tongue to not do the same thing. And here's the thing. People tell me all the time, and like, literally, I'm embarrassed to say this. Who did your website? It's so good. I love your website. I've been through it multiple times. I've read every word. And I'm like, really? Because I think it's terrible. So again, I just think that's such a universal thing. I think everybody is embarrassed by their website because it is like wearing your heart on your sleeve. Like you are putting it out there.
Yeah.
So I think just like if we can normalize that everyone feels like that, and it's probably so much better than you think it is. But you said, actually, wait, I want to read a couple of the comments, then I'm going to come back to some of the things that you said here. Marie just being like, yeah. We have from Slivera, I'm not embarrassed by it, but I'm not proud of it. And that's where I want to get to.
Yeah. 2 stages. Embarrassed and then proud.
And then proud. Yeah. I want to dive into that in just a second because you said something else. But first, Karina said, I struggle to know whether my website represents me well. I pivot and transform faster in real life and in my real work and don't transfer the changes to my site right away. That embarrasses me. Karina, I do the same. I make these changes and I go look at my website and I'm like, oh, dang, I need to update that, right?
Yeah, that's a big one. I'd love to talk more about that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Karina's saying, I'm wondering if I'm sending someone to the site to be confused. Yes. So yeah, because I want to talk about that in a second. And Beck also made a comment earlier I want to talk about, because you said your website should be an employee. Mm-hmm. And like we have Beck here saying, when your business is outgrowing your website, right? Like when you said 2 things, your website should be your employee, and your website is one of the most important parts of your business. And here's the thing. So many people are like, nah, you don't need a website, right? So let's talk about, number 1, why it's so important. And number 2, what does that even mean to make your website your employee? So first question, why is your website important?
Your website is your home on the internet that no one can take away. The only time they're taking that away is if you forget to pay your hosting bill or you forget to pay your domain and then suddenly it doesn't work.
Or you don't have your 2-factor on. Please turn your 2 factors on for everything, friends. Secure your stuff.
The bane of my existence, but it's very important. But it's I always try and liken it to like owning a home. You want to own your own domain, and that's one thing that I harping on so much. You need to own your domain, but then your website is the home that you live in. It's what everyone sees, or it's your storefront. For a retail company. If you don't, that's how everyone enters your business. If they aren't meeting you face to face.
Yeah.
So it's your entire online presence in this growingly virtual world, So if you aren't using a website, you are building your house on borrowed land. You're building your audience and relying on services that could go away tomorrow. It's like I just try to add a link to my Instagram page to share this with my audience. And it's saying that I can't do that, whether I'm blocked from doing that or if Instagram is down, it's preventing me from growing my business. But my website, I can pop on there and I can put that up. It's just the same as like your email list, it's resources, digital resources that you own and you control.
Yes. And so then what does it mean that your website works is your employee? What does that mean?
Yeah. So your website is essentially, your employee that's working 24/7. They don't have to go home. They don't need to take lunch breaks, anything like that. But you can load it with all the information that it would need, whether it's, your marketing, all your offers, and it's just offering that information to clients, all around the clock. So, when you need to go and sleep and you need to go eat or you need to take a vacation, your website is still there selling for you. So, it's even more important than you as a person because it doesn't need to stop selling. That's kind of how I envision it. So like if you're not keeping that up to date, which is, it's time consuming, but it's just a missed opportunity to kind of sell in your sleep.
Yeah. So if I were to chime in on this, I would say, why is a website important, right? And I say all the time that your website is what speaks for you when you're not in the room, when you're not available, right?
Yeah.
Your website, like when people say to me, I've gone through your entire website, I've read it over and over, I love it. And it's because, my about page is really long. I go into my values, I go into my philosophy on entrepreneurship, I go into my nerdiness about myself, right? People feel like they're really getting to know me because I am letting people get to know me.
Yeah.
When they go into my service offerings, when they land on my sales pages, when they're in my fun stuff pages, like people are getting a feel for me. And so when you think about your website, it's sort of like, yeah, it's this place to communicate who you are and what people can purchase from you or ways they can engage with you. But it is also you, which is why it feels so vulnerable, because you are
Yeah,
sharing parts of yourself, right?
absolutely. It is an
And then,
extension.
right, what was that? Sorry.
It's an extension of, you and your business and your brand.
Yes. And then so we think about, how do I get my website working for me? Now, for those who've been in my world, I love a sexy automation, right? And it's using the having the lead magnet email list opt-in and having a great thank you page that takes them to the next step of where you want them to connect with you, or having, like workshops and things where people can sign up for things and then go watch replays. I'm always thinking, what is next, right? And this is for yourselves when you're thinking of your own website or really anything that you're doing in your business. You're always thinking, what is next? What is next? Like we talked about this yesterday in the mastermind, if somebody opts in, when they go to the thank you page, that isn't, you've got their attention. That's an opportunity to say, come join my Facebook group, come subscribe on YouTube, right? Come follow me on Instagram. It is that next step. So
Mhm.
when we talk about our websites being our own employees, there are the automations, but then there's getting even deeper into, all right, how are we leveraging SEO, search engine optimization? How am I posting blogs and articles on my site using SEO keyword research to pull people in and then pull them through my funnels, right? So, yeah, your website, when approached strategically, really does become a big part of your, I'm going to say, passive revenue or passive income. And we all know there's no such thing as passive income, right? We all know that. Passive income is a better way of saying that is not trading time for money, right? Like I'm not doing a one-on-one session and then getting paid for that one-on-one session. You still
Yeah.
have to promote the thing that you're selling, but you can sell to multiple people. And
Mhm.
your job is just the promoting part, the marketing part,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
your website becomes a huge part of that.
Absolutely. And like when, like I typically work with service providers. So when they come on my website and they're interested in working with me one on one, like when they're filling in that form to work with me, like I have a 95% close rate for clients because
Mm-hmm.
my website tells them everything they need to know about me.
Yeah.
They already feel like they know me. They know my dog. They get the gist already. So it's just so much easier to, serve my clients when they already feel like they're part of the family, like and then part of the brand already. So that's why it's so important.
So, in a moment, friends, we're going to go into some questions. Some folks here have pre submitted some questions. If you have a question, I'd love for you to throw it in the chat. But first, let's come back to that question of, what is the first thing that people should be spending on? And I don't just mean website, but I mean from a marketing support perspective, whether it's a person, a program, a service. What do you think is the first thing that most entrepreneurs need to spend money on?
I think it's a consultant to help them get clear on what they want to offer. Um,
Mm,
so many folks think that website is number one, but when they come to me, I need to know, what are your services? What are your prices? What's your description? Like, where do you want your clients to go? What's your call to action? So that's not the time really to be like to figure that out.
mhm.
It's figuring that out to begin with. So hiring like a business consultant, a strategist, just to get really clear on what you need to have your website do for you. So I feel like a lot of people skip those steps before they're like, okay, I know I need a website, or I think I do, and let's jump to Kayla first. But in reality, you're gonna have to take a few steps back.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
love that.
meeting someone like you first,
And I'm gonna quickly, because I want to jump on what you just said and then take it to the next level, right? So like Karina just said, this goes back to my RGAs, my 4 fast and free revenue generating activities.
Mm-hmm.
And yes-ish. That is specifically the business development side of things. But what you just said is what I think new entrepreneurs don't understand. They come to a web designer, a copywriter, an SEO expert, a marketing agency, and they say, here's my hot mess. Please go make me visible. Yeah. But your guys is, hang on one quick second, because the job of a web designer, a marketing agency, whoever, their job is to amplify what's already working. So you need to know that, which is why we don't invest in those first few years, because you got to figure out what's working first. They can't take your hot mess of yarn and then promote a sweater. You have to build the sweater first. So Kayla, knowing that, let's say that the sweater is built. Mm-hmm. The entrepreneurs, it's a few years now, they're making some good money in which they can invest, take the risk of investing in a professional, right? And we're going to see if there's ROI or not, return on investment or not, but there's that they have the money to play with. What do you then think is the first most important thing?
Your website.
And tell us why.
It's because now that you're clear about what you want to offer, you should be going in and kind of looking more at the customer journey and how that exists on your website. So it's not so much about the design, it's the usability of your website. And how, when somebody comes in, starts as a stranger, and it's going to become a client, how are they doing that? How are you utilizing your website to turn these people in to clients or customers? And are you making it easy for them? Yeah. When we're first starting out, we are piecemealing everything together, especially if we're not we're lean scaling. Everything is piecemeal everywhere. So it gets the job done. It keeps us, money flowing, but is it the best representation of our business? So, reworking your website so that it just flows better and it gets people in the door, but also converting. That's the big thing. Yeah.
And you made me sort of think of something that I think is really scary for entrepreneurs. And I'd love to take a moment to hear your experience of this. But when I say you can't take a ball of yarn to a marketing agency and ask them to sell a sweater, you have to have the sweater made, right? Yeah. That really freaks entrepreneurs out because they don't know how. And like you said, that's why you invest in people. And that's obviously people like me. Like you invest in the people who can teach you how to do that and show you how to do that. Can you think of a time when you were just getting starting, where that, but I don't know how, really freaked you out?
For me, I don't have the tech issues that some people might have, like the tech barrier. For me, it's always everything like financial, but also just the big picture. I had no idea really like how to put it all into a cohesive package.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know I do this really well. I do that really well, but how do I sell that? Or how do I market myself? And how do I do that in a way that, can get people, not only just like filling out a form, but signing up, or filling out the proposal kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like really good for the technical, side of things, but that workload management, the business management side of things is just like, it's still a learning game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm trying to think of my own story, but I feel like, okay, this is going to be really corny, friends. Okay, we're going to get real corny. But if you're like me and you love like vampire type stories, and no, hang on, bear with me. And so you think like a vampire who's lived hundreds of years old, trying to remember hundreds of years ago what they were doing compared to now. And you're like, I can't even remember. It's a whisper of like another lifetime, another person.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember an example of when I felt that fear of the I don't know what to do, because I developed this system over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I, like, honestly, it would probably be in like elementary school when I have to sell chocolate like for school to raise money, and thinking, okay, but how do I do that? And so my brain is the kind of brain, and I'd love to hear in the comments if you're the same. When there is a I don't know how, that excites me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like, if I could say, one thing that you walk away with today even is, when you don't know how, don't let that freeze you. Let that excite you, and then go start experimenting. And I talk about this all the time. In entrepreneurship, you have to look at it as an experiment. You have to put your scientist hat on, and you have to go out and try different things and go, okay, that worked or it didn't. It worked or it didn't. We don't use words like success and failure.
Yeah.
It worked or it didn't. How will I try differently, right?
Yeah. And like, to that point, I think that it's really important. Like, something that we haven't talked about is just like how easy it is to keep your website up to date with, like, as you evolve, as you change. One of the comments was just like, I don't know, I'm moving faster in real life than I am on my website. And that's something that people need to think about when they first start out, or even like right now.
Yeah.
If I have a new offer that I come up with, tomorrow, how fast or how easy is it for me to get that on my website so that I have that resource? And, if you have to go to a marketing agency and wait for them to respond like 2 weeks from now, and then fit you in on the books to get a new page on your website, that's not efficient. You need to be able to go in and make those changes yourself, or have somebody that, you can reach out to and know that you're going to get that turned around really quickly. But you really need to do it yourself first, to figure out what works, what isn't working, and being comfortable to go and do that at midnight if that's when you have time, that kind of thing.
Which brings me to another point, because gosh, this is why, friends, when you're new, you do not get a custom website made that you cannot edit.
Yeah.
Go get a drag and drop website where you drag elements in, you update it yourself, watch some YouTube videos. I mean, if you've got the budget to just give to someone to do for you, fine. But still, get them to build it on a drag and drop style website that you can edit. The amount of people that will spend 5, 10, 20, 30,000 on a WordPress website, and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to update it. And then so now it becomes this hemorrhage, this leak of money, because you always have to go back to that person, and you have to spend time explaining it, and they have to go in and do it, and they charge you another few $100 here and there. And
this is where it comes full circle, Lindsay. Yeah. Like, this is the horror stories that I have experienced. It's the people that don't know how to manage their own site, but also they get that $30,000 website and it's been custom coded. So what that means is, like, you can go in and it's all just gibberish.
It's just,
So I get those folks all the time. They message me like, my website was built by an agency. They're not responding to my emails anymore because, I'm slim pickings. I'm on their probably like cheapest maintenance package. And I'm not a priority anymore. So I want to switch to somebody who's going to, like, I can text message or something, like, or even just get an email answered. And I'll log into their website just to get a sense of, what I'd be working with. And I can't do anything for them because it's been completely custom coded by this marketing agency, and it's like in a different language. It's not built with a page builder. There's no drag and drop elements here. Everything is done, completely custom. And, this is a business that's been operating for a year and needed to add on more services. And now has no way of even adding things because the original agency doesn't even answer their emails anymore.
That is such a common horror story. There's another one that I want to touch on, but okay, because we have been talking about this from an unethical marketing or web designer perspective, right? Marketing agency, and I want to say, yes, there are unethical people, right? But also sometimes it's their own naivete, their own newness in the industry that they get paid to do a job. So they do the job, but they don't necessarily think, wait a minute, this person is new. They're not going to have the kind of money and knowledge to be able to keep this up. This is not good for them or honestly for our company, because it's going to be a drain on us to have to keep coming in for these small little things when we should be getting paid more, right?
Yes.
So it's not even sometimes that they're unethical. Sometimes they don't know better.
Exactly. Right? Especially if they're like a new designer or typically you wouldn't see that from a marketing agency. I'm hoping that they would, they've been in business typically for a little bit longer and they know their way around. But yeah, typically if you're spending $800 on a web designer, you're more likely to end up in those situations. It's just like, okay, I can log in to Show It or Squarespace for you and put a page together. But they don't know to keep your domain and your website separate. They don't know to keep your email separate from your domain and your hosting. The stuff that actually matters later on down the road when you are ready to scale. Okay. And that's when I come in to, unmess all that mess that was created. But yeah, it's the biggest piece of advice I can give people in terms of working with a marketing agency or working with a solo designer is, and the horror story I hear the most is marketing agencies purchasing domains on behalf of the client and then holding them hostage. That I get an email like that at least once a week, if not more.
Yeah.
Somebody trying to set up or move hosting, they're like, oh, I really want to do a Squarespace website because my cousin really likes the platform and can help me out for a lot cheaper, because they didn't need the marketing agency in the first place. But then their domain originally was registered by the marketing agency and they're essentially renting it from them. And then I'm like, there's nothing that I can do unless they are willing to transfer that over to your name. But it's domain hostage situations are way too common.
And I forgot about that because I do hear that a lot. Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yes.
The other one I hear all the time is how they will give all this money up front to designers, web designers and builders, and then they will completely ghost. They fall off the face of the planet, or they always have an excuse. This happened in my life. I'm getting to it. I'll get there. And to that one, I have seen people lose thousands of dollars that's just poof in the wind, and that's it. And they have to start all over again with somebody else. Please, please, please ask your business besties for people that they trust. Don't go on to random websites. Don't answer random sales emails you get on LinkedIn.
No.
Go to your business besties or your mentors, your coaches, and be like, who do you trust to do a good job and actually use my money, not just take it and run?
Yeah. And I'm one of those designers that I switched my business model a couple of years ago where I do get payment all up front. Mm-hmm. But on my website, I have 100% 5-star ratings from every one of my clients. Yeah. So it's just you need to know, who you're working with. Referrals in this industry are gold. Just go and find out who somebody has worked with. That they have a good reputation, a good relationship, and that they're actually delivering. That's important. But yeah, just don't go to a marketing agency just because it's easy, to make an appointment or something like that. Make sure that you're doing what's right for your business. And if that's a one-page website that you're, buying a template offline off somebody, that's an amazing start, and then do that in month 1. Month 2, maybe you build your about page, like it doesn't have to all be done overnight.
Yes, and this is let's leave that right into some questions here as we start to kind of wind down. So from Marie, we have when starting out, what is good enough? What is most important? And just a quick note to Slavara, you asked a very similar question, so we're just going to use the one question because it's very much a what are the basics? What is most important? How do we get started?
Yeah.
So if you were to give a really clear step 1, step 2, step 3, what would you say?
Yeah. Step 1 is just building out a informative homepage. So put your services, who you are, if you have any social proof that you are good at what you do, absolutely have that in there, and then have a contact form. That's all you need to get started. The links to those services can literally just scroll down to the bottom of the page and fill out that contact form. If you are in like an e-commerce space, then you're going to need a very basic, online shop. But again, you just need the shop. You need a little bit of information about who you are so people know to trust you when they give you money, and a contact form. Always have the contact form. So that's where I would start. And then I would build out separate pages after that. I would build out an about page next, because that's the second most visited page on a website is the about page. Even before services or anything like that, people want to know who they are spending money on.
Yeah.
And then having a separate contact page, because every individual page that you put on your website is another way to show up in Google search results. So, one homepage is a great start, but it's not going to be as effective in organic search results as a 15-page website, so that's kind of what I recommend, if people are like starting out really lean.
Nice. Okay. So let me see. We don't really have any more questions right now. So we're going to just start to kind of wrap ourselves up here. Hang on. I have like a whole whack of links for you all if I can remember where they are. There we go. So first of all, I just want to share that Kayla has a really fantastic freebie. Let me grab this and put this in the chat for everybody. This is, here we go. Boop. So that is a ChatGPT blog post generator. Do you remember how we were talking about make your website your employee, make it work for you, get it working for you? And I talked about having that SEO content so you can get found. A great place to start that is a blog. And if I could ask a question into that, how soon is soon enough to start blogging?
I wouldn't recommend doing it when you first start, because everything is already probably so overwhelming. But within the first 6 months, for sure, because every blog post is another opportunity to show up in search results, and it's fresh content. So Google is seeing that and going to increase your your ranking in search results. So, when you are comfortable enough, definitely add that on, but I probably wouldn't do it from day one.
Yeah. Okay. And the other thing too is for those that are building an email list, now you've got something to email out, because we won't get into that right now, but that's the next thing people always say. Do I need an email list? What do I even email? The blog, right?
Exactly.
So I also shared in the chat, I shared your website, I shared your Instagram for folks listening to the replay or the podcast version. That's all going to be in the show notes. But I wanted to quickly talk about your templates, because I might even share your website. Kayla has some fantastic templates, and they are on sale right now for 50% off with code Cheerful50. So I've just added that into the chat there. Tell us why you make these templates. What is it about these templates?
So I have everything from like a single page website template to like full 15-page full meal deal. But it's all about growing with your business. So whether you start off with a homepage and then you're adding on a blog, you're adding on, email list integration, you're adding on service pages. These templates are built on the Show It Temp platform. So they're super easy to, add on when you're ready for it. So like having a blog, it doesn't necessarily have to be from day one. That's something that you can add to your website rather than, having to go back to a web developer and getting them to do that for you. So these templates are all about empowerment, getting you comfortable with just working on your own website. And there's lots of social media templates that come with it, like matching logos and all that good jazz.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it. Friends, before we wrap up, I'm just going to share a couple of things in the chat as well. Actually, no, let's wrap up first, and then I'm going to share all the links and upcoming happenings with you. So Kayla, before I go into that, I guess what I would ask is the final question is, how does an entrepreneur calm down their overwhelm and anxiety so that they can focus on making a website that's kick-ass?
The easiest answer is book a one-on-one call with me so I can talk you down off the ledge and give you step-by-step, like, what you need to do for those, to get the tech working for your offers. But you just need to take it one day at a time. Focus on one thing that you need to accomplish in, the digital sphere of all of the web things, and just get one offer off the ground, from stranger to booking, or stranger to customer, something like that. So just one product, one service, and just get that sorted and then move to the next stage.
I love that. And if I were to throw my 2 cents in, I would say write it all down, get everything out of your head down, and then look at what you've written and go, okay, what is the one thing I'm focused on selling? What are the things I've written down here that would support me in helping to educate people on who I am, what I do, and how to purchase this thing? And then just start there. Just start there. The biggest thing is always going to be to get it out of your head first.
Absolutely. Like have a Google Doc going that you're just constantly putting ideas down, and like almost creating like an SOP, like a standard operating procedure. It's like, okay, this is what I do. How do I translate that onto a website? Just figuring out your processes and then building, because you don't want to jump into the website right away. You want to know what you need first.
Brilliant. I love that. All right. Really quickly, I always wrap every podcast up or YouTube live up with the theme. The theme of the show is work less, play more, right? This is what I'm all about. So the podcast is about work less, play more. And I'd love for you to fill in the blank. Work less, blank more.
Watch more TV.
Work less, TV more.
More obsessed with all of the Netflix. So yeah.
Right? Oh my God. I love it. Friends, I just finished watching Dark Matter on Apple TV. And if you haven't watched it yet and you're into sci-fi stuff, please do. It is fantastic. Come and tell me on Instagram what you think of it. In the meantime, friends, I'm going to share a couple of things. Our 2024 year-end debrief is coming up. Save your seat. That is free to attend. It is happening on December 11th. This is our 5th annual debrief. This is where we go through 15 year-end questions that you need to ask yourself to really understand what happened in your business this year, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how that will affect your goal setting for next year. Also, side note, many of you, almost all of you, 99.99% of you, tell me that when you do that, you realize you've actually accomplished a lot this year and have had a lot of wins. So if you want to feel good about yourself, come to that. The next thing is our Big Bowl 2024. This is a paid event. This is my big CEO day, my big planning day, where you come and we're there for 4 hours together on Zoom, working through a very specific process to help you map out your entire year, your promotional schedule, your marketing schedule, what you're focused on selling, setting those big goals. So get your butt into that one. If you have not yet, you can go and watch all of November's YouTube lives here. We have a whole bunch. This is, of course, I think this is our second to last live for the year. It's definitely our last fireside chat for the year. So go and watch our fireside chats, our hot seat business coaching, our shop talk. That's all available on YouTube right there. If you haven't yet joined the Ick Free Sales membership, come get your butt in the membership. This is where I just basically take you through every Monday. If you're lost and confused on how to sell and how to get yourself out there and how to get traction and momentum in your business, all you got to do is open that email every Monday and do the challenge I give for you, and you will start flying. Other than that, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out today. This has been so much fun. Kayla, thank you so much for spending an hour or so with us.
Yes.
Everybody, thank you for watching. Until next